We begin in the Sabha, the royal assembly. The Pandavas are in a broken condition. The gathered people cannot stay quiet. A public censure rises through the hall because a dharma question has been asked, and the Kauravas are not answering it. Even Dhritarashtra is blamed for allowing this silence. At that moment, Vidura stands up. He lifts his arms and steals the hall, like someone stopping a storm with one clear command. Vidura's point is simple but heavy. When a question of dharma is asked in an assembly, it must be answered calmly without desire and without anger. Vidura looks at the situation and brings everyone's attention to Draupadi, who is crying like someone with no protector. Vidura warns the assembly, if people who know dharma refuse to speak, dharma itself gets crushed right there inside the sabha. He explains why sabha exists. When a person is in distress, it is as if they come like a blazing fire, urgent, unbearable, demanding response. The work of the sabha is to calm that fire not with power or noise, but with true dharma. Then Vidura gives a strict rule of responsibility. If someone in the assembly knows the dharma answer but stays silent, that person does not remain clean. Vidura says such silence carries half the moral fault of lying. And if someone answers falsely while knowing the truth, that person carries the full fault of lying. In other words, in Sabha, silence is not neutral, and a false reply is worse than silence. Vidura also mentions that Vikarna has already spoken what he believes is right. So Vidura challenges the rest. You too must speak what you believe is right, without fear, without personal agendas. Now Vidura strengthens his warning with an ancient example. He tells the Sabha, learned people remember an old incident that teaches what happens when truth is demanded in an assembly. That ancient story is about Prahlada, king of the Daityas, and his son Virochana. One day, for the sake of a maiden, Virochana entered a dispute with Sudhanva, the son of the sage line of Angirasa. The dispute became so sharp that it turned into a deadly wager. The rule of the wager was simple. Whoever is proven superior wins the other person's life. The wager did not stay theoretical. In the decision, Virochana was judged to have lost. His life was now forfeit according to the wager. But Virochana refused to accept it. He turned towards hostility, ready to escalate the conflict. Sudhanva stopped him with a firm restraint. He told Virochana not to fall into hostility and reminded him that they were of the same kind, both Asura by nature, and that this was not the way to settle what had been agreed. But Virochana did not calm down. Instead, he pushed the crisis directly onto his father Prahlada in front of everyone in Sabha. He demanded a clear judgment. And he did not merely demand it, he threatened violence if Prahlada refused to answer. Virochana told Prahlada, this dispute is about a maiden. Tell me plainly who is superior, Sudhanva or me. If you do not answer me here, in front of everyone, I will strike you down. Now Prahlada faced a terrible double danger. If he speaks a falsehood, he destroys himself, because lying in Sabha is spiritual ruin. If he speaks the truth, he destroys his son, because the wager will take Virochana's life. Prahlada openly admits this conflict. He tells his son, in essence, Sudhanva is superior, but if I lie, I perish. If I tell the truth, you perish. What am I supposed to do? Prahlada does something important next. He does not pretend, he does not guess, he seeks a higher clarity. He goes to the sage Kashyapa, explains everything, and asks one direct question, the kind that shows he understands the true issue. What happens to a person who speaks a falsehood in an assembly hall? Tell me clearly. Kashyapa answers with frightening certainty. He explains that lying in Sabha is not a small fault. It is bondage. Kashyapa describes the liar as caught in Varuna's nooses, bound, drowning, unable to escape. He says that such a person loses what humans most fear to lose, their children. their fame, their body, and their relations. Everything collapses. Then Kashyapa turns the same teaching toward truth. He says, the person who speaks truth gains fame, gains heaven, and gains the highest honor. Prahlada returns home with that knowledge. Now he calls both contestants, Virochana and Sudhanva, before him, and Prahlada announces his intention clearly. I want to speak the truth. Now tell me, which one of you is truly superior? Virochana answers first. He claims superiority through greatness of lineage and grandeur. He presents himself as the son of Prahlada, tied to famous ancestry, and says, in effect, who can match me? My birth and line prove I am superior. Sudhanva answers next. He claims superiority through his Rishi lineage. He declares himself the son of Angiras, connected to Brahma and Savitri, and says, in effect, my spiritual lineage and the Rishi's line are supreme. Who can be equal to me? Then Prahlada places a final boundary around the moment. He turns the judgment into a truth test that protects the decision from manipulation. He tells them, if you speak falsely, you will die. If you speak truthfully, your life will be saved. So answer me truthfully. Who is superior? Sudhanva replies by placing Prahlada's fate directly on truth. Father, if you speak truth, you will be saved. If you speak falsehood, you will be destroyed. Virochana also replies in the same structure, accepting the rule of truth, even though it threatens him. Father, if you speak falsehood, you will be destroyed. If you speak truth, you will be saved. Then Prahlada asks the decisive question one more time, without decoration. Between you two, who is superior? Tell me the truth. Virochana again asserts superiority. Now he adds sharper claim. He says he is superior even to his father, simply because he is the son, and he expands it into an authority claim connected with Brahma, suggesting that those aligned with Brahma must align with him as well. Sudhanva responds with a hierarchy statement that cuts through the noise. He declares, Angiras stands above Prahlada. Therefore, Sudhanva stands above Virochana. And by the wager, Virochana has already been won. Now Prahlada must choose affection or truth. And Prahlada chooses truth. He says, in essence, I want truth. I will not lie out of affection. Therefore, Sudhanva, you are superior to my son. Now I ask you, give my son back to me. Sudhanva accepts Prahlada's truthfulness and returns Virochana's life. He treats it like a rare gift, almost like a reward earned by integrity. He says, in essence, because you did not lie out of affection, I return you, your son, as a rare present. Vidura completes this ancient example and brings it back to the present Sabha. His message to the kings is clear. You have now heard what supreme dharma demands in an assembly. Now reflect deeply and give the right answer to the question that still hangs in the air. And then the story returns to the frame, the Sabha. After Vidura's words, none of the kings speak, not one. The hall remains silent. So, this is not just a story about Prahlada. It is a mirror held up to every Sabha, every place where Dharma is questioned and people remain quiet. In an assembly, Dharma survives only when truth is spoken, especially when silence feels safer.